I promise not to stay on it too long, but, it's probably the biggest thing that's happened so far outside of, someone possibly getting shot. Joe Biden drops out the race today, live today. Friends were sending me the kind of screenshot of his farewell letter. Kind of a strange thing. I would expect there to be kind of a press conference. And I kind of missed that. I missed the good old press conference. The last time I remember someone making a big announcement over a press conference was the LeBron decision. And then after that, it's just been everyone drops these letters or things on social media, and then it just kind of circulates. Maybe that's the way that it reaches people more. People don't really tune into something live. It's just strange, I missed the live aspect, like, oh shit, what is he going to say? Versus by the time you hear it, right? By the time you hear it, at least a million people have already know already of the news. When it's live, everyone kind of finds out at the same time, and it's like, oh shit, we all just found out together. There's something kind of special about that. Focusing on the story, Joe Biden drops out the race. Now, it's strange, right? Because it's like we saw this coming, but at the same time, didn't fully expect it, right? We thought he would kind of hang in there until the end, until the wheels fell off, and then November comes around, he probably just loses, and then he takes his farewell tour, does his thing. But now with this happening, two things come in my head, where one, there has to be a plan, right? There's no way that they kind of time him dropping out like this, and then there's no plan for them to at least stand a chance. Or maybe they just give up this year. In his letter, he endorses Kamala Harris. We kind of talked about it on the pod where it's like, she will get destroyed. She will quite literally get destroyed when November comes around. But at the same time, now that it's official, I kind of like the idea. I understand. I don't know anything about her politics. I understand she's been missing pretty much for the last 4 years. Maybe she gets on some people's nerves, but I like the idea, right? It's something to entertain. Let's see what she got. Maybe during the next debate, she absolutely destroys it. And then all of a sudden we're just turned on. Oh my gosh, we got to keep this lady for some more. So I am interested to see, maybe they have enough, confidence in her to kind of send this campaign that direction. But, we'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ajay Patel Show. We are on episode 41. My name is Ajay Patel. And this week we got, we're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it relatively short. Like I said, no politics. We got the Microsoft outage. We got this new trend of dudes on flights. And then lastly, we'll close it with this nonsense that's happening in California with Gavin Newsom and kids and identifications. And so we start with, hello. How's everyone doing? How are y'all doing? I have a couple stories for y'all. I got a couple updates for y'all. But first, we'll get into, if you have not already, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, drop a like, share it with a friend, drop a comment. Even if you comment just a random letter or a spam or whatever you want to do, it helps the channel. It really helps. I think we've gotten into a good rhythm. The studio's been consistent for the last couple of weeks. I kind of stepped out of the kitchen. I feel like the lighting here is a bit better, and then people kind of, enjoy the aesthetics a little bit more. We start with the outage. Now, I am not the greatest expert on what happened as far as the detail goes. So I found this TikTok. I will try to link it up above. But let's listen to it, and then we'll dive into it.
Please explain what's going on with Crowdstrike. All right, so here's what's going on with Crowdstrike. Crowdstrike is a security company. They released a patch. That patch causes Windows machines, unfortunately, to be sod over and over and over again, forever. And the only way to fix this is with an IT person to manually fix them. Oh, boy. Now, understand that Crowdstrike is on millions of computers. Millions of computers. And a lot of them are critical infrastructure. So things like stock markets are impacted. Things like hospitals are impacted. Emergency services like 911 are down in some countries. Airports are down all over the world. You've got grocery systems. You've got banks. You've got government shit. Everything is down. It is a worldwide, global IT infrastructure failure. This is billions to trillions of dollars in damage. This is the largest outage I have ever seen in my life and has ever existed in the history of any technology we know of. It's a pretty big deal. It's not a Microsoft bug. It's a CrowdStrike bug. It has nothing to do with Microsoft.
So Microsoft ruined a bunch of family vacations. This happened this past Friday, the 19th. You probably saw it on whether it was TikTok, Instagram, or maybe it actually affected you in your job workplace. But obviously, when it affects you at your job, you don't really care, right? You turned on your computer hoping you would see this blue screen of death that was kind of going around as the trending topic. But everyone that was traveling, whether it was families, individuals, people traveling for work, people traveling for weddings, this absolutely obliterated their plans for this weekend. If I really don't know anyone that necessarily missed something. You know, I haven't talked to any friends and seen, oh, okay, did this actually impact you? Isha actually flew on Friday, but she flew on Southwest, who I do not think was affected by this. So, you know, got lucky there. For once, Southwest is like, oh, nice, you know, we kind of paid off on this. But Microsoft ruining a bunch of vacations. Now, I understand, just like this video said, this is actually CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is a security company, and they released a patch. Patch was not fixed a little bit. They probably called the dude that was on call. But as you know, that on-call shit is absolutely nuts. I don't know if you have a friend that's in tech or you yourself are in tech. These people that are on call, I have friends. I have friends that have done this, right? I have friends that have been in this space where they have to bring their backpack to parties. I'm dead serious. They bring their backpacks to parties and then they're drinking. Maybe they're smoking. Maybe they're doing some other things. They're dancing around, talking to people. And then their phone rings. And then they're like, hey, did you see blah, blah, blah's note? Did you see John's note? We got to get on this thing and fix this immediately. Now this guy's out, you know, like this guy's messed up. My friend's just been drinking. He's been doing everything. And now this person has to go open up that laptop and make this fix. I've never understood why people would sign up for this. When I was working at Lockheed Martin, a lot of the people in tech would kind of tell me that was their biggest drawback of being at a company like that, where if a plan goes down, right, if a job fails, and a job here is kind of like something that loads data into a certain system that allows that system to make certain calculations and sometimes certain actions, right? Sometimes it'll place a buy for certain parts. It'll set a schedule for certain people. In this case, CrowdStrike, right? How can I explain it a little bit more shaped towards what happened here? They released a patch, probably something that wasn't working, and then they released something, it did not work out. It only made the problem worse. Now you have to depend on that person that's on call to then come in and fix that issue. Now, when that issue gets fixed, there's a lot of protocols in place for a company like Microsoft where, okay, we made this fix. Okay, now we have to send out this emergency promotion. Promotion would mean, okay, you take this test, right? You take this script. I don't know what coding language they use, but you take this script and then you send it to maybe one other person. They review it, they check over it, make sure it works in the test environment, right? A lot of places will call it their sandbox environment. Then they take that and send it to production. Production is the thing on the front end that a lot of us use, right? For people that use Microsoft computers, or you engage in a tool that is powered by Microsoft powered systems, that is what we see. Now, sometimes that takes a while, right? Sometimes these fixes don't go in place. And if you work at a company that isn't so, spread out into everyone's lives, it's not a big deal, right? Sometimes things happen at companies and they're like, some people will be upset, right? Hey, when can this get done? When can this get done? You know, we're really trying to send this out today. We're trying to do this. And you're like, hey, I made the fix and now we just kind of have to wait. It's not my duty to see what happens next. So this one fix can take hours up to days. It could take however long it needs to take. Obviously, companies this established will do their thing to make sure it gets done in a certain fashion, right? Hey, we have to get this done as soon as possible. That is why probably they have the best people working at these companies. Now, let's go to the first point, right? The first thing I said, Microsoft ruined a bunch of family vacations, and people are kind of making sure Microsoft doesn't get blamed for this accusation. Now look, I understand it was not Microsoft's fault. This was a CrowdStrike problem. But firstly, what do you think sells more stories? If I say, hey, CrowdStrike messed up and they did this, which led to this big effect, people are immediately going to ask, who the hell is CrowdStrike? What is CrowdStrike? I don't know what CrowdStrike is. The everyday person does not know what cybersecurity is. Let me tell you that. When you go to Whole Foods or whatever grocery store you shop at, I'm not trying to be, cocky or anything, because I've been shopping at Trader Joe's. But anytime you go out in public, ask someone, hey, do you know who this CrowdStrike person is? Do you know who these CrowdStrike people are? No one will have any idea. Ask them what a cybersecurity person does for a living. I don't even think I know. I understand the general concept, right? But I couldn't tell you their job description. No way. So obviously, when all these headlines are going around, and it's Friday morning and we're seeing this massive failure, oh my gosh, what's happening? America's being crippled. We need a big name to blame. The same way that we have, oh my gosh, global warming. Have you seen what Donald Trump did for the globe? He's making it 100 degrees. Or same thing with gas prices. Oh my gosh, have you seen the gas is $5.68 in California? That's Joe Biden's fault. No, it's not. No, it's not. But we need a name to blame. And the bigger the name, the bigger the story. And that's how this shit works. So I understand people being like upset that, oh, okay. Like my boy Sandeep, I told y'all, he works at Microsoft. He posted this whole long paragraph on his story saying like, oh, hey, yo, it wasn't Microsoft's fault. It was CrowdStrike. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People were more upset and appalled at this than the president almost getting assassinated. Sorry, the president-to-be almost getting assassinated. We are in some wild, wild times. Wild times. In addition to that, it made me kind of think about that movie that was on Netflix. I mentioned it once before. Something about the end of the world, right? Where Julia Roberts, who's in this movie? Anyways, so it kind of showed me in real life, right? Seeing all these people, all these TikToks, all these Instagram stories, all these videos on YouTube where a bunch of these families were affected. People were having to write down flight times on pieces of paper and holding them up like the old school days. All computers were out all over the place. The airport was quite literally probably the worst place you could be on Friday. All of this stuff happened because of one line of code, and we were basically crippled. And I've always had a problem with people kind of blaming the person at the desk, right? Hey, why is the flight delayed? Come on, what are you guys doing? It's not in their control. There's quite literally so many rules in place as far as airline travel goes. And you're sitting there as the individual being like, how dare my flight gets delayed 30 minutes? I've been waiting for 2 hours. What? You have to make sure all these pilots get here on time. You have to make sure if a flight attendant gets off a previous flight that they have a certain number of hours, or I think like 25 minutes before they are required to get on the next flight. They're given a rest window. People have to refuel the plane. They have to restock the plane. They got to clean the plane. I mean, they barely be cleaning the plane, but they got to do the little routine at least. There's so many things in place. Other flights taking off, other flights in line that have to go first, or, prioritization. Oh, we have this flight that has to take off now because they got to get over here and then they connect over here. Versus this flight, they terminate in Phoenix. So we don't really care about them. So let's hold that one back. These are all decisions being made with a million factors in place. And you see all these people getting mad. Oh my gosh, American Airlines didn't give me $100. They gave me $100 a ticket. I have a car rented that's $1,000. I have 6 kids with me. I paid for all of their seats for $300 a piece. How dare they? Yo, I get it. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. And if you don't have the means, right? Like a lot of people, we speak from a stance of being spoiled. right? Not spoiled in the sense of we get everything that we want, but being spoiled in the matter of we can recover from this. A lot of people save up money to travel once a year. Sometimes they go to Mexico to see their family. Sometimes they're going off back to India to see their family. A lot of these immigrant families ain't got it like that. Same thing with white people. Don't worry, I'm not talking about just, like people from outside of the country. Money is an all color thing, all color, all race thing. And people save up for quite literally People save up to literally take one trip a year. And then imagine this happening. Of course, they're going to wait 6 hours, 12 hours to catch the next flight because they don't know what else to do. They're not going to pay for a hotel. They're not going to, change flights for more. Oh, I can buy the Southwest flight at the last minute for $450. Oh, yeah. Everyone else is doing that at the same time. So now the price is $600. The flexibility is not there when you're working on a budget. A lot of people, myself, a lot of friends I know, we live with that level of being spoiled. For example, if this happened to me, I would have went home. If I saw this chaos that was ensuing and let's say I bought the ticket for $350 and they're like, hey, this flight's going to be delayed 8 hours. I'm going home. My dad actually works at American Airlines and he told me 400 flights had to be canceled that day. On average, in the US, they have 1,200 flights that operate. That is a third. Yes, I was a math major. That's a third. 400 flights. So you can imagine, on average, 120 people booked on these flights. How many people were impacted by this? Such a massive kind of failure by just one line of code. So going back to my original point where it's like, how delicate are we? I understand. I don't control anything. I know where I'm at on the power scale. And that's why I go back to this, my theory. I talked about it with my friend Nicky Reddy. And we always kind of joke about it, but it's kind of serious, where we need to have a bunker. If you are a family and you have land, you need to buy yourself a bunker because the end, it's not coming, right? I'm quite optimistic about the future, and I don't think, chaos is going to ensue soon. But we are quite fragile. One line of code did that. Imagine if a company just took Crowdstrike out, and what's the cascading effect? So it just made me kind of think deeper into this idea of what could an external party do, right? Whether it's a different country, whether it's someone that just wants to see the world burn, as Batman, or not Batman, but whoever from Batman would say, what could they do? And how would it affect me? It makes you think. But until then, Microsoft, get your shit together. Okay, so I saw this I saw this TikTok, and it's been a trend that I've been seeing quite a bit. And it's kind of funny. I've never done it myself, but let me play the video and then we'll talk about it.
Why are men suddenly raw-dogging flights? Men are going viral for staring at real-time flight maps to get through long-haul journeys. They challenge themselves to not eat or drink, deprive themselves of any entertainment, and aren't even allowed to visit the bathroom. The barebackers believe that true raw doggers take no indulgences. So, are you a true raw dogger?
I don't know why they included dog barking. that was uncalled for. So the story and trend is that, we always have to have one little pop culture thing. Last week we talked about Hawk Tua, and she's already on her decline. Jesus, bro, get your vocabulary together. Men are raw dogging flights. Now, what does this mean? There's this challenge that I guess it's mainly guys. I haven't seen this kind of happening with the women community, where you take a flight, whether it's 3 hours, 1 hour, 12 hours, and you just sit there and you watch the in-flight map. Now, the in-flight map is something legendary. I don't know what it is about watching the trajectory of where you're actually at in the flight but it's quite mesmerizing, and I do like it. But this trend is basically you don't listen to music, you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't use the restroom, you don't talk to anyone. Now, I've never done this. On flights, I'm quite literally looking forward to the moment I get on that flight so I can start watching something, so I can start listening to something. Oh, y'all got Jack and Coke? Yeah, I'll take 2 of those. The airplane food, you're never looking forward to that. But if you happen to get some wings at the airport and you can take them on, and they ask for a Coke, oh my gosh, what a great flight. The airplane is the best time. Obviously, I'm terrified. I get super anxious when a little bit of turbulence happens, especially on Southwest. But this trend has just kind of, it's crazy. It's insane. But it's actually very normal. A lot of people don't do anything on flights. Talk to my sister. This is not a new trend. Sometimes I need to listen to her because she is ahead of the curve on some of these things. I do think she invented the retractable Sharpie, but don't take my word for it. On a flight to London, I shit y'all not, on a flight to London, which is about a 9-hour flight from Dallas. It was just her and I going to visit my my grandparents. And I'm watching some TV show. I'm having some snacks. And I look over, and my sister is just sitting there. She's just sitting there, just staring at pretty much the roof of the plane, ceiling. And I was like, yo, do you want like a magazine? Do you want, I have a book. Do you want that? What do you do? I'm uncomfortable that you're not doing anything. And I said, are you okay? She said, yeah. This is just what I do. I was like, no, you can't, this can't be right. You need to do something. But this is a thing that people do. And she kind of explained it to me where she's like, at home with 2 kids and, you work and you got to do this, you got to do this. There's always this constant going, go. And then when you get on a flight and you quite literally can't do anything, right? You can't take care of anyone. You can't really do any work because all your work is done in the office. So why not just do nothing? Now, I don't like it, right? I don't like seeing someone do nothing because it makes me feel uneasy where it's like, oh, should I be able to master that? This trend is not new. I understand it's, it's making its way across TikTok, but how much do we actually believe these people that are, oh yeah, I just raw dogged? First of all, also, why is that the term? I just raw dogged a flight for 12 hours and I didn't do anything. I don't believe you. I do not believe you. Especially in this era. Growing up, my dad would start a movie on our flights to London, and then he would just watch that the whole time. No headphones, no other form of audio. He would just watch the screen with colors move. I said, bro, hey, do you want headphones? They actually give it out on the plane. He said, no. I said, what? No, I'm good. Huh? And it's just a thing. People actually do this. I don't believe the people on TikTok saying, oh, yeah, I just raw dogged this flight. And also this whole concept of I raw dogged a flight and it's to take myself away from the pleasure. Isn't that the opposite? See, that's this. I don't understand anything anymore. Especially California. Now we get into this story. Gavin Newsom signs a law into a place that basically forbids teachers in California from alerting parents if their students, which are the parents' kids, identify as another gender that they are not listed as. So if I'm a teacher in California and there is a girl in my class and she says, I think I'm a boy, I cannot then go tell the parent. The story that kind of brought this to my attention is Elon Musk saying he was going to move his headquarters from California over to Texas fully because this is the last straw, quote unquote. And I texted one of my friends who will remain unnamed, and I was like, yo, does this mean you're moving to Texas? She was like, nah, he does this. You know, he kind of just always says this once in a while. And sure enough, I read up on it, and he actually does do this once in a while where he's like, oh, you know what? I've had enough of California. I'm going to move the headquarters. And he doesn't. But going back to the point. Now, California is a great state. Don't get me wrong. California is a great state. Politically, no. Right? There's a lot of things wrong with a lot of things here, right? We've talked about the homelessness to an extent. We've talked about how expensive shit is. But as far as is it just the weather? Is it just the weather that takes it to 90%? You know, 90% satisfaction, and then 10% is just nonsense? I bought a PS5 this past weekend because Isha was out of town. I didn't really have much to do, and I just wanted a game. You know, I just wanted to play video games. And I went into Target and I was like, why don't I just walk out with this? Why pay for this? If you haven't kept up, in California, you can basically steal up to $600 and nothing will happen. You can just walk out. And they can't do anything about it. Obviously, some stores have taken, the power into their own hands, which they've had to, because it's like, how do you even stay in business if all these people are coming in, taking whatever they want, giving you no money? And California endorses this. And even if it passes $600, right? We saw all the kind of Neiman Marcuses and Nordstroms and Saks get raided in San Francisco, probably in LA too. And the most that can happen is just a little slap on the wrist. Nothing more than that can happen. So now we go back to this story, which is just more nonsense. The power should not be in the students' hands. The power should not be in the kids' hands. The power should be in everyone that is an adult, in the teachers and in the parents. If my kid is your student and they are now identifying as a different gender, I would like to be alerted. At least you should have the freedom to do it. The fact that it's banned, California gives in too much to, we should just let everyone do what they want to do. Woo, look at the weather. Wow, it's so sunny outside. That's not how people should operate. We have too much freedom in this world. We have too much freedom in this world. I know y'all probably think I'm crazy when I say stuff like that, but we have way too much freedom, and things have to have some type of structure, or we fall into this anarchy, or we fall into this world of kids doing whatever they want. We do have to control the kids. We should let them be free, right? We should let them have their choices. Do you want to play this sport? Do you want to be in these classes? I mean, the classes thing we can't control too much because of curriculums. Do you want to play these sports? Do you like these foods? Oh, you don't like this color of bed sheets? Okay, we'll change it to this. Oh, do you want a different toothpaste? Certain things that we allow them to choose. Now, there is no reason I can think of that a teacher should be banned from telling me if my kid identifies as a different gender. We should snitch on these kids as every moment we can get. We should snitch on these kids every moment we can get. My sister has two boys, my nephews, and one of them is old enough to be in school, and she tells me about these things, right? She tells me about these things like, oh, hey, he just said, like, this is happening in his school. Like, this other student said this to him. What should I do? You should snitch. Like that. The communication line should always be open from parent to teacher, parent to teacher, parent to teacher. You got to take these kids out of it. I understand once you pass the age of 18, right? We've established the age of 18 to be you're old enough to make your own decisions to some extent, right? You're a legal adult, I believe. You can go to a hookah lounge. You can't drink alcohol, but you can go to a hookah lounge and some strip clubs. But you can go to a hookah lounge. You can make your own decisions. You more than likely have a driver's license. You can do whatever you want, right? Some countries you can drink, whatever. And then 21, you're an adult. You can now drink. You can now do this. You can vote, whatever it is. Now, don't get me wrong. You're still pretty dumb at 21. A lot of people that aren't 21 yet listening to this, you don't know it yet, but you're still dumb. By the age of 25 is when you probably start being like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now. I've always said this, they had 25. But before you're 18, as teachers and as parents, we should snitch on these kids every chance we can get. If my kid is telling me about, oh, hey, his friend just said his dad is, has a gun, or, blah, 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 I'm going to bully this kid, or I'm just going to steal this. I'm telling the teacher the moment I find out. And the same thing with the teachers here. If they find out some information where it's like, hey, your son has been identifying as this lately, or hey, he's been cursing a lot, I would like to bring it to your attention, right? With that communication line. I keep saying that communication line needs to be open. Now, don't get me wrong. We should not give teachers too much power, right? You are not my kid's parent. I am putting all my faith in you to steer them a certain way, educate them, watch their badass for 8 hours a day, hopefully lead them the right way, teach them how to make friends, teach them how to be good. There's a lot of things teachers do. Do I think they should be paid $500,000? Probably not. Probably not, right? But they're pretty much full-time babysitters at some ages. And they are vital to shaping these kids to some extent, right? We see the difference in outputs from different neighborhoods, from different school districts, and we see what happens when those kids take the next step and they start mixing with different kids from different school districts. When I was in second grade, I remember my family went to Arkansas for kind of like we visited some family friends. And in Indian culture, a lot of times when you visit these families in different states or whatever, you get an envelope on your way out, right? The mom or dad or whatever hands all the kids envelopes, which basically just has like $20, $21 in it most of the time, $11. This one I remember because it was $101. It was $101, the most money I had ever seen in my life, the most money I had physically had in my hand my whole life. I show my mom, oh my gosh, look. She takes it, puts it in her purse. We go to the hotel. Now, I was a massive kleptomaniac, whatever the term is for stealing shit. So, what did I do? We were back at the hotel. I took the envelope out of her purse, put it in my backpack, my pocket, whatever it was at the time. We go back home. Second grade comes. I have my little Velcro wallet. I opened it up. I think I was line leader at the time or something, and I was showing Emily, probably the girl I had a crush on, or Melissa. I was line leader, so I had to show off a little bit. And I opened up my wallet. I said, look at that. That's $100, girl. Look at that. And my teacher saw me do that. Now, I didn't think much of it, right? I was like, whatever. She saw me I had $100. Probably no big deal, right? These other kids probably have a lot of money in their pocket. Obviously, I was dumb. I was in second grade. My dad used to hang out by the fence right outside the school to pick me up. A lot of parents used to do this. It was kind of the fence in between the rec center and the elementary school. And my dad and I are walking, and we would walk a block to the car. He would park. He would come stand there. I would run out to him. We would go to the car. We'd go home. And we make it to the crosswalk. I remember the crosswalk vividly. And all I hear is, Mr. Patel, Mr. Patel. And my heart sunk because I knew. Sure enough, she comes up to my dad. She said, hey, I saw AJ had $100 in his wallet today, and he was kind of showing it off. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because, I just recommend that he doesn't carry that kind of money at school. He could lose it. Kids could steal it. It's just not good. My dad said, okay, thank you. Thank you for telling me. It was the quietest ride home. Because he was like, what is she talking about? And I was like, I don't know. She's probably crazy. She's probably crazy. And nothing else was said. We get home. I remember I ran to the bathroom. I put the $100 behind the toilet. Bro, I'm telling y'all, I'm not lying. I put the $100 behind the toilet. And then when my dad came to the room and he was looking through everything, he was looking through my wallet, looking through my backpack and stuff, and I didn't have the $100. So he kind of believed me, but he knew. And he was angry. A lot of people meet my dad now and they're like, oh my gosh, he's so calm, he's so cool. No. That man, I was a bad kid to some extent. At some extent, I was a bad, right? I was a boy. What do you expect? But the focus here is my teacher snitched on me. And we should fully support this. Power to the teachers, power to the parents. Ignore these badass kids. These kids don't know what they're talking about. If they want a different color toothbrush, give it to them. Ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Ajay Patel. We have a handful of other videos coming out soon. I have that Natasha video. Like I said, my friend Natasha Singh came and the audio kind of got ruined, but I looked at the audio from the camera file and it's actually not that bad. So I might go ahead and fix that up, post it next week. In addition to that, we have a bunch of cooking videos. Yes, I told y'all, as I've been unemployed, I've been experimenting with a lot of stuff, just like that behind the scenes video last week. One last time, if you have not, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, share with a friend, put it on your story, text me. Do you want to see a certain topic, whatnot? And with that all being said, I will see you guys next week, and goodbye.